you love hearing the sound of your own name? Are you better at faking an injury than a professional FIFA player? Do you have horrible judgment? Do you have a vendetta against deer? If you answered yes to all of these questions, then you are a Killdeer. Please seek out your nearest performing arts venue. Your acting talents are too good not to share with the world. Killdeer are members of the Charadrius genus, a group that includes 10 other plovers such as the piping plover and semi-palmated plover. Something that has always struck those who have observed Killdeer is the fact that they are quite talkative, and by that I mean they love to vocalize incessantly. Their scientific name translates to vociferous trickster. Meanwhile, the first two common names of this species also reflect its boisterous behavior, as Killdeer were first given the names chattering plover and noisy plover. They eventually earned the name Killdeer thanks to their namesake call. Naturally, colonists were immediately interested in putting Killdeer into their mouths once they first encountered them. Unfortunately for them, they quickly discovered that Killdeer are not very palatable. Nevertheless, substantial numbers of Killdeer were shot in the 18th and 19th centuries anyway. The reason for this shorebird slaughter was not driven by the taste or value of Killdeer. Instead, they were killed because hunters found them annoying, and because they are known to act as sentinels that alert game birds of danger. Killdeer are likely the most familiar and recognizable shorebird in North America thanks to their tendency to live in areas near humans. Don't expect to differentiate male and female Killdeer, as it is nearly impossible to discern any distinctions in the field. These charming charadriforms are chunky birds with solid, unmarked brown backs and white undersides. Two black breast bands are a key feature that separate Killdeer from similar species like semi-palmated plovers. Their faces are brown and white, while their bills are black and stout. An overlooked but lovely feature of Killdeer is the orange orbital ring that surrounds their eyes, giving them that classy Carl from Jimmy Neutron look. Killdeer also have orange coloration on their rumps and tails, but this color is typically hidden on foraging and resting birds. Unlike most other plovers that have distinct breeding and non-breeding plumages, adult Killdeer look the same all year round. Killdeer chicks look rather similar to the adults, but they have only a single dark breastband initially. One of the most characteristic Killdeer behaviors involves the act of bobbing up and down when they spot a perceived threat. Killdeer are social birds during the non-breeding season, and they often form groups of a handful to several dozen birds during this time of year. They are ordinarily peaceful plovers so long as the unspoken boundaries of 4 to 6 meters are maintained among unmated birds. If a Killdeer crosses these invisible social distance boundaries, it can expect to be chased off to an appropriate distance. Tensions are higher during the breeding season. If one pair encroaches too closely on another, all hell can break loose. When these confrontations get physical, Killdeer do what any rational thinker would do in such a situation. They lash out and pluck the feathers from the chest of their rival. Killdeer are rather vanilla in their relationships, as they are mainly monogamous, meaning they rarely seek extra pair copulations. Although they maintain a happy facade of a family during the breeding season, there is no guarantee that birds will have the same partner the following season. It seems that Killdeer who migrate are far less likely to retain their mate the following year compared to those who don't migrate, as those who don't migrate tend to remain with their mates throughout the year. Foreplay for Killdeer begins with a female standing upright with a slight bend in her knees. A male will then run over to her and jump on her back before copulating. The entire process takes a titillating 22 seconds on average. Migrant Killdeer typically raise a single brood annually, but those in warmer climates can raise multiple broods a year. Killdeer put about as much effort into making their nest as a Hollywood star on Ozempic puts towards their diet. Nest construction begins when a Killdeer pair scrapes a few shallow indentations into the ground. Nest construction ends when a Killdeer pair scrapes a few shallow indentations into the ground. After the eggs are laid, the loquacious lovebirds will surround their evolving embryos with the finest pebbles, sticks, and garbage that they can find. Killdeer almost always lay 4 eggs, but it is possible for them to lay up to 6 eggs in a clutch. Killdeer make cuckoos and cowbirds look like top-notch parents, as they are notorious for choosing terrible locations to situate their nests. Gravel roofs are a popular location for a nest even though their young cannot fly until they're several weeks old. This often leaves them stranded on rooftops or put in positions where they have to risk their lives by jumping from the roof. Amazingly, one account detailed baby killdeer who jumped from a 7-story building. Miraculously, 2 survived this ordeal. A more positive account described baby killdeer who avoided jumping from the roof and instead reached the ground by sliding down a downspout. Other lousy nesting locations include gravel roads, cemeteries, and construction sites. Despite their terrible judgment when it comes to choosing nesting sites, killdeer parents are very good at protecting their young. The most famous tactic that they employ to deter predators from their nests is the broken wing display. This Oscar-worthy performance is reserved for when a potential predator approaches a nest too closely. At this point, the adults sitting on the nest will flush a short distance away and flop around while drooping their wings and acting injured. This display is extremely effective, as one study found that predators are successfully diverted from the nest 99.5% of the time. Another clever tactic used by these wonderful waders involves leaving the nest when a predator approaches before plopping down on the ground nearby. Killdeer then try to deceive the predator by acting like they're brooding their eggs in a separate location. Killdeer even have a method for deterring herbivorous animals like deer or cattle that may trample a nest. Running towards the animal, screeching, and slapping their wings on the ground often works like a charm. Less commonly, killdeer may resort to attacking a possible threat, but such aggression is a last resort. Baby killdeer are both precocial and nidifugus. These 2 fancy words simply mean that killdeer babies can fend for themselves almost immediately after hatching. 3 subspecies of killdeer are currently recognized. The vociferous subspecies is the most commonly encountered and widespread of the 3. These cheeky coragiforms breed throughout much of North America, and they winter throughout Central America, south to Colombia. This subspecies is the largest and most populous of the 3 killdeer subspecies. Next is the Ternomenatus subspecies. Birds within this population are native to island nations such as the Bahamas, Puerto Rico, Haiti, Cuba, and more. Ternomenatus killdeer tend to be grayer than killdeer from the other subspecies. Last is the Peruvianus subspecies, a group of killdeer native to the coasts of Chile, Peru, and Ecuador. Curiously, they are nearly indistinguishable from the vociferous subspecies, save for their slightly smaller size. The Peruvianus subspecies is non-migratory. Ornithologists estimate that the total killdeer population exceeds 2 million birds. Ultimately, killdeer are likely the most successful shorebird in North America, as their populations have flourished as humans have cleared forests from the continent to make way for development and agriculture. The adaptable nature of killdeer will ensure that these creatures are able to continue vocalizing incessantly and faking injuries for centuries to come.